Hey, it's
like
working.
the
Looks
little
like we're
live
live.
banner. It's too real.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome.
Hello.
And we're live streaming. Everything is rolling.
As are the attendee counts. We're so glad to have you here today, even during a work day.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, I'm glad everybody could join us so far. So everything looking good. We are on a new platform. We're on Zoom. So if anything gets bumbled or messed up, we do have an excuse.
Yes. And things will get bumbled or messed up, but we still have an excuse.
Yeah,
Hey, it's so
right.
good to see you all here. We're going to be talking about malware of the day, and every attendee gets a free sample of malware. No, wait. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Everybody loves free samples.
Mhm. Just click on this link and we will send you some free malware.
Hold on, I thought we already put the malware in the Zoom link. Did everyone? Am I
Oh,
wrong on that?
I thought that was awfully long, and it was kind of a weird domain. Hannah
hold
is
on. I need to
awesome.
switch computers.
.com.
Yeah. Yeah. So if your PC starts playing Thunderstruck like really loud, that means that was Hannah.
I wrote some malware for that. It only works on Mac. And Linux.
You have to be in a special category to get this malware.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
You mean something that only runs on Mac? Wow, that's the first time I've heard of that.
Oh, harsh.
Yeah, you just voluntarily put yourself on an island. So yeah. Okay.
Ah,
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hey, it's a Chris Banter. All right. It's
One of
real
our-
now.
yeah. One of our favorite questions from the last webcast is, will those two things behind Chris's head hypnotize me during this webcast? And
Yes.
unfortunately, they will not today. They have
Wow,
not been
look at that.
started up.
Oh no, I didn't give him a spin. Sorry, I just like got off of one call, hopped onto this one, and didn't have time to wind them up. So,
Well, you wind everybody else up. Why can't you?
well,
do
this
your
is true.
kinetic
Yeah. So see,
sculpture?
I'm doing that anyway. So we're in good shape.
Hmm.
And I must say, Chris, your lighting got much better.
Yeah. So back in my place, and I actually, Keith, along those subjects, when I was over visiting you last night, I was admiring your lighting. I know that's not something one guy normally says to another, but I was very impressed with the lighting setup you had around your desk in your office and all of that. I just didn't want to mention that around the women. So I think it's safe now. Well, except Casey's here, so she's heard it. But yeah, now I'm in a location where like I have these big, huge windows in front of me and the light just comes in off of that. So I actually have no artificial lighting at this point. So
Man, oh, it definitely looks much better.
Well, can you send the 40 kilowatt laser back to me then?
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
Yeah,
know
I'm
before
still
it-
just processing that, what Keith is really saying is, Chris, you usually look bad. Thanks for not doing that anymore.
No, it wasn't bad, but it looked like you were like being interviewed like on Nightline or something by a DEA agent, and they were trying to hide your identity or something.
Yeah, really.
They've got this little special thing that
Little hand.
Sorry,
Little
Bill.
hand.
Little hand came in. So
you gotta acknowledge that.
yeah,
They've got
And
a
thank
thing
you,
that
Chris. I did-
modifies his voice to sound like it has a Boston accent. That's the only thing they can
Yeah,
do
that's
to
true. Boston accent.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. He's gonna pack the car
Yeah.
by the pier.
Jeez.
By the pier. And get some chowder.
Yeah, some chowder.
Can't get that
Awesome.
from here.
But thank you for the little hand, because I did need a little hand this morning. So that worked out great.
All right,
Hey,
to all
Keith,
the
I'm always here to help you with a little hand when you need it. You know that.
Thank you. Because
Well,
there's
the
times where
attendees, I
everyone
put
needs a little
the-
hand.
link for Discord in the Zoom chat here. So we're going to be doing a community chat in Discord. You can jump on there,
Yep.
and we're in the live webcast chat. You could chat to us with here, but in Discord, you can chat with everybody, including the other attendees. On Zoom, you can submit a question for Keith or any of us. If you want to submit a formal question, there's a Q&A box that we can use in Zoom. Check that out. But we are officially in pre-show banner. The actual presentation is going to start in about, what is that, 25 minutes? I can't do math.
24, 23,
24,
22.
close. The clock changed, I swear. When I was,
Yes. Yeah.
but we
Oh,
are
I got a new
happy you all
clock.
here.
So if you want to know what time it is in this time zone,
It's
there you go.
orange laser versus
Ah.
green laser.
Yeah.
But is it right side up?
You mean you
question.
can't tell what time this says to be able to figure that out, Keith?
Well, is it upside down or not? There's no indicator.
It is not upside down. No.
The really
Ooh,
nice
that-
part
That's
is
an even
Anyway.
better mode.
Yeah.
when it
helps.
comes time for daylight savings time, you just turn it a trickle. That's all you gotta do.
Exactly. Just turn it crooked a little bit and we're all good.
Oh boy. Yeah, that would confuse me.
I miss my old binary clock. That was even better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it makes you have to think.
Yep.
Because we all want to think when we want to know what time it is.
Yeah, because those analog clocks are not hard enough for me to figure out.
Yeah, right.
I still want to send you guys a clock that does base 64 octal.
Yes.
By the time you figure out what time it is, it's 10 minutes later.
Yeah, right.
Oh, wait, we have someone who actually has something real to say. They're asking, is there any news on when the recording will be done from Saturday's training?
I don't know that. That would be a Shelby question.
Yep.
And she's not here today.
I would give a little bit of extra time for that one. We have a little bit of a schedule change, so be patient. We'll try to get it out as soon as we can.
Yeah. Usually it's within like a week or two. I will say we leave the last video up there posted. And I didn't change too much from the last class versus this one. So if there's like something specific you want to go back over, it's probably in the old class. And who knows, maybe I was like more sane in that one than this one, and it might make more sense to you. So
Oh,
Well
we got another
done.
comment saying it's on YouTube today, which I didn't look to see if there was anything new.
Wonderful.
It's nice to know our Discord users know more about our operations than we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Can anybody help me with my password for devel.aih host?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Does anybody remember what my password was? Yes.
Yeah. I think it's winter 2022.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank
At
you.
least until the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should it be winter 2021? It started last year.
Oh, that's true.
Good point.
Yeah.
That would just be too easy to guess.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah, we
We got to
need
make
to
it
get
harder
started.
for the attackers. We'll just increment it by a year. Why not?
I think we need higher security, so everybody needs to change their password to QWERTY.
Yes.
Oh.
Then when it forces a change, do QWERTY 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Or one of the favorite ones that I brute forced one time was QAWSEDRF. And they said, well, it's not dictionary guessable. So, well, yeah, but
Is
I wonder
there a
if-
word list out there that's just all of the common key arrangements?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There-
The Ripper tool has that built in. So some of the dictionary that comes with that has some of those combinations built in already. What I'm curious about is, has anybody written like a algorithm around it? Hey, there you go. There's another use for AI, right? Figure out if it's a keyboard pattern. And oh yeah, it would have to work with like human fingers. And I'm sure we could write something around that. Well, that killed the conversation.
No, I'm
I got
thinking about all the
distracted.
different keyboard arrangements, and there's the ones that like you just control with like a little ball and stuff. It could get complicated fast.
Oh geez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would drive me nuts. I mean, really. Although it'd be funny to watch me try to use one of those.
Little Bobby buffer overflow. Is that what you're saying, Bill?
Yeah, exactly. Little Bobby tables. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, I guess that. Well, and I guess that would work as a pet name too.
Yep.
You know.
So how would you call that? How would you
Yeah.
call the dog?
You'd say, "Here, select 1 = 1. Here, select 1 = 1."
Here, capital Q, tab, tab, tab. Here, capital Q, tab, tab, tab.
Yep.
It's like, oh no, I hit Control C. Poor
Yes.
dog.
Yes.
For some reason, schnauzers do not do tab completion, but I don't understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess that would work out to be a good puppy threat too, right? Don't pee on the rug, or I'll hit Control C.
Yeah.
Don't make me Control C on you.
I'm running my dog in screen, so when I come home, he's still there.
So long as you reattach via SSH, right?
Oh man.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Because not all dogs come with their own TCP keep alive. So, I hate it when I come home and my dog session is dead. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
Boy, that would really
sad.
confuse us.
You hope it's just sleeping, but okay.
yes.
I can see going to the vet. My dog timed out. Okay, that was probably not nice, but I meant it humorously, not
exactly.
seriously.
Never take Keith too seriously.
No, actually, never. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Discord again.
Yeah. I'm getting distracted by like movies you can watch via Telnet.
Oh wow.
Boy. The
Because
resolution is like,
I knew you could watch Star Wars that way,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that like The Matrix was one of them too.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. Although I guess that makes sense. I mean, if you're going to take a movie and convert it to ASCII, which one makes more sense than The Matrix? So,
Especially with the characters at the beginning coming down from the top. That's just basically
Yep.
character for character. You're all set.
yep. I remember
Wow.
back in like the early Sans days during breaks, I used to run like sections of movies in ASCII and then got yelled at for that because, copyright. So, because apparently, someone might decide, oh, I saw it as ASCII characters. Why would I ever pay to see it in a movie theater? So,
and that's when you found out it's no fun watching a movie with screen resolution of 20 by 20.
Yes.
Yes.
At 1.5 frames per second. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or as like Princess Leia is kneeling down to R2D2, how many times the character R is relevant in that? Yeah.
And then it becomes a pirate movie. Arr.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a part. There you go. Can you do a pirate movie in ASCII code using just capital and lowercase r's?
You gotta have a challenge for a given.
Yeah,
person.
that would be a good one for Pirate Day.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, I wonder how many people we've lost in the past 60 seconds here.
Yeah, exactly.
With 3 people left.
Yes. Yeah, we'll come back at the top of the hour. This is not worth sticking around for. These people are insane.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to take this moment to proclaim this is not the webcast.
Yes. Honest, we will have real content soon. They will kick me off.
We'll get about 15 more minutes of this nonsense just for everybody's info.
Yeah.
That was a perfectly descriptive term. Absolute nonsense. Yeah. But hey, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The problem is some idiot suggests, hey, why don't we have a webcast, which is nothing but pre-show banter? And then just like,
For
oh,
24 hours.
yeah,
Nothing but
exactly.
nonsense.
What better thing could we do than have an entire 24-hour block of nothing but this?
Yeah.
Hey, let's make Irish soda bread while we swing, jujitsu swords around the kitchen.
Sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I must say at first, I genuinely thought this is a horrible idea until it happened.
Which, the
And it was
webcast or
brilliant.
the banter?
The 24-hour
Oh, the
pre-show
24
banter
hour.
thing. But
Yeah.
when it happened, it was brilliant. Seriously, I could not stop watching it. Seriously, I think.
How are you watching it?
Casey and
That's what
I
I
think
wanna
we
know.
slept like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
because
And got right
Keith,
back
you
up and
could say the
started
same
watching.
thing about like a car wreck, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could not stop watching the flames shooting up to the sky from the battery packs in the back of the Prius. Whoa, look at that. And he was carrying fireworks in the trunk too. Oh, no. I'm going to park and make some coffee. This is great.
It was really good. I don't know how it happened, but it was good.
Hannah's like, I am not affiliated with these people.
Yes.
I don't know them.
How did I get signed up for this?
Yeah.
Why did I
right.
volunteer?
Yeah.
I
Start
actually
questioning
did
your
not
life choices.
volunteer.
She didn't volunteer, she was
volunteered.
voluntold.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, that's
I put a
awesome.
very thematic GIF in the
I
Discord chat.
love that.
Awesome.
That's
Very
great.
good.
That's what I
And
was
the
just
two
laughing
little
at.
balloons.
That's awesome. Oh, boy.
Kind of reminds me
Brian.
of the old Trunk Monkey ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team I was on actually sued them over. Got
Wow.
some sponsorship out of it. Yeah. Well, so in a past life, the rally team I was part of was Trunk Monkey Racing. So when they came out with those ads, that was an infringement on our trademark. And the guy who ran the team smartly, rather than like drag it through court and everything else, basically went back to them and said, so, hey, so you've infringed on our trademark. Let's have a conversation. How about supporting the rally team?
Good way to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ryan, have you got some lists of upcoming events to go through before we get going?
Upcoming events. Let's see. Oops. I'm typing an answer to someone. Hold on.
Aha, take your time.
And I
Absolutely.
cannot type. I cannot spell a word. There we go. I think I did it. Upcoming events. I did not have that ready to go. I'm sorry.
Not a problem.
No, not that.
I was considering doing a bake sale on Saturday.
Ah,
Where do you ship to?
yeah.
You wouldn't
And-
want
and-
anything I bake.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Keith, I've known you for a while. I don't remember you ever baking anything.
Nah.
And-
No.
and would it
Frozen
require
pizza.
having a
Speaking
Frozen
of which,
pizza.
I'll be
I can
right
bake
back.
frozen pizza.
frozen
And-
pizza. It's about it. Yeah.
and Keith, would you have to have a doctor's note to enjoy the baked goods
Yeah, probably. And,
Probably.
and a tetanus shot would not hurt.
and a tetanus shot? There
Yeah.
you go. You see? Oh, scary.
All right. The next upcoming event I have here for active countermeasures is the ins and outs of Rita.
Nice.
And day and
For that
time.
one. That is going to be on March 15th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Link is in the
Speaking
Zoom
of
chat
fresh
and
baking,
going into Discord now.
Ooh.
it's like you're
Ooh, that looks
driving.
good. All right. It's much
So
better
Keith,
than
can you bake chocolate chip cookies like this?
that. Absolutely not. It's not
I
one of
tried
my
making
skills.
cookies here, but because of the elevation difference versus what I was used to, they just turned out really flat, and it was sad.
Ah,
Oh,
So pro
well,
tip,
cookies
if
are
you're
supposed to
baking
be
in
flat.
Florida, use less flour than you bake when you bake in the mountains.
huh.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Never thought of that.
Yeah. See the things you learn in these webcasts.
Maybe that's why they don't cook on airplanes.
No baking on an
Science.
airplane.
I got thrown out of the movie theater for bringing my own food. I argued that the popcorn prices were ridiculous, and besides, I hadn't had a barbecue in weeks. Sorry, Chris.
I could see Bill in the theater with his hibachi and lighter fluid.
Yeah. I'm just setting up to the side. Don't mind me.
Okay, good.
I thought this was a drive-in experience, you know?
It's a tailgating party. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
If
What's
you
wrong
are
with
just
having a
joining
bonfire?
us, we got about 9 minutes before the official presentation starts. We are currently doing pre-show banter, otherwise known as nonsense.
Yes.
Happy to have you here.
Well, and it's still up in the air that if the presentation will be any better than this. So
Yeah. So enjoy it while you can, people. You never know what you're going to get.
That's right.
That's right. In the Discord,
I'm going to take a quick
spamming
bio break.
everybody with a link to, in the Zoom chat, I'm spamming everybody with a link to Discord because we've got a live webcast chat channel in there where all of you guys can talk to each other as well as us. And that chat can keep going once this webcast is over. So we're pushing everybody to there.
Yep.
Wow. So
jump
Keith
on
just
that.
went offline. So what bad things
Uh-oh.
can we say about Keith? Oh, well, that's not much.
No, that's a
We're
pretty
waiting for you
thin
to
list
start.
there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Hey.
sign behind him was blank, which is definitely a call for help.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
This is
that's
true.
just wrong.
Yeah, because he's always got something on that.
Nassim D, congratulations for being our 5,000th subscriber on the YouTube channel. Fantastic. We would like to send you a present, but we don't have one. So you'll just have to take our thanks as being our 5,000th subscriber.
Yes.
I thought Hannah was giving away malware. You can have one of those.
Ooh,
Yep. No extra charge.
yes.
I already did. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. We have multiple channels. If you go over to YouTube and take a look at active countermeasures, if you look for Black Hills Information Security, we have one for Antisyphon training. Do we have a fourth one, Brian?
We don't have one for Antisyphon training yet. We may have that one soon. Right now, it's just the Wild West Hack and Fest channel, the
That's right.
Black Hills Information Security channel, and then active countermeasures. So we've got a bunch. I just dropped a link in one of the chats for this webinar, which is live streaming on YouTube. I can't talk and type. I really can't.
It's hard to do.
Drop it at Discord now.
Yep.
So you can watch this, if not in Zoom, you can watch it on YouTube right now. It'll also be there after the webinar is over as a recording. So you can watch it later. You can share it with others who can't make this and enjoy it. You could watch it 9 more times if you want later on. That would be great.
If you're really bored, there you go. Yeah, we've got a lot of good technical topics up on all 3 of those channels, and they're available for free. Please take a look, see what you've got. One of the most popular ones that I've been part of was building a home lab. In that particular webcast with John Strand, we talked about how to set up a home network, to isolate it from the rest of your network, to make sure that all the packets get routed to Chris Brenton's router so that we can bring it down as quickly as possible. I always need help with that because I can never do it very well myself. The Got Beacons t-shirt came from the Spearfish General Store or a conference. Which was it?
Both.
I'm asking the 2 people who are wearing them at the moment.
I got
I think a
mine
little of
from
both.
the conference.
Got it.
Same here.
I don't know if they have it. Yeah, thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm not sure what's up there now. The inventory is not always filled. We have the same problems with supply chains as everybody else.
Yep. They're all listed as sold out.
Yep.
We got a
Welcome.
question for you, Chris. Why do you love Pepsi? It's poison.
Oh, fish is poison. If you hang out in France or Brussels, fish is poison, not Pepsi.
I'm lost.
Poisson.
How did fish become poison?
It's the spelling. So how do you say fish in French?
Poison.
Poisson.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
it's poison.
Okay.
And
Poisson
damn it, they
versus
gotta put poison in everything. So I go to Brussels and I lose 10 pounds by the end of the week because everything's got fish in it, and I won't eat fish because I am a Pisces and that is cannibalism. So
That makes me think of when Casey's parents first were visiting us from Germany, and we were in Florida, we're doing the tourist thing, and we kept going to gift shops. Well, as it turns out, gift is poison in German. So
Yeah.
I imagine the first time we went to one of those stores, and they said, "Oh yeah, a poison store, sure, why not?"
yeah, no, well, it's the US, guns, poison, we get everything around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why you can buy poison as soon as you get off the airplane and you're in the airport. So
Hey, welcome, Netware 6 from Sweden. So glad to have you here. I remember your handle from previous webcasts, so welcome back.
Nice.
And bread is pain. Yes, that's absolutely true. If you don't pronounce it very carefully.
Yep. I also noticed we got Netware 6 back. I was trying to remember the last version of Netware I saw, and I think it was version 5.
Wow. So Netware 6 is the new version. Yeah.
The new, yeah.
In Swedish, also, gift means married.
Ah.
Married strange.
So you walk into a gift shop and you come out to betrothed. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Married.
Interesting.
Strange.
We got 2 minutes.
2 minute
minutes to
warning.
go. Are you ready, Keith?
What?
Exactly.
Huh?
We were just disparaging you while you were gone, Keith. No big deal.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing I set my alarm for 13:59, so I wake up 1 minute.
Wake up.
Yeah. Although Hannah did mention that you don't have anything on your sign, so that must be a cry for help.
Mhm.
Yeah. My sign is echoing my brain. It's a bit blank sometimes.
We are offline. Please stand by.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will get poisoned and married.
This is just taking a strange turn now.
Yeah.
We've gone everywhere
Okay.
from dying dogs to getting
Yes.
poisoned and married at the same time.
In 1 minute, we'll be starting our episode of True Crime in the Geek Community.
We say all these things to help you, Ryan, with your titling, because I get such a kick out of some of the titles that you come up with on like some of the transcripts and so forth you do with the videos. So
Yeah, I do try to get creative with those. It's the fun challenge of editing.
yeah. Well, sometimes I see those titles, I'm like, really? Somebody said that? I don't remember that. So I'll go back and
What does that even
watch it, and
mean?
I'm like, oh, geez. What were we thinking?
Yeah, you never quite know what's going to come out of our mouths.
Yeah, right.
The owner was asking me, Chris, how was the marriage?
Oh, good for me. I don't know about her. She's stuck with it now. So
And with that, we are at the top of the hour. It is time for Keith to get ready to go.
All right.
Would you share? I can't talk. I'm trying to say 2 words at once, and it comes out as this garbled mess.
That's okay.
stop multiplexing, Ryan.
Here we go.
It can be a bit overrated. So
Doing talking is very hard. All right, the rest of us are gonna pop off camera and go silent, and we're gonna let Chris take over and take it from here.
all right.
And I can't
And
find my
that's right.
button. There it is.
Oh, thank you. Now it disappeared. I was about to say, since we're kind of new to Zoom, if anybody didn't catch that. So we're still kind of fumbling around with the buttons a bit, but I believe we got it sorted out. So I'm glad everybody's here for us. This is the webcast edition of our blog series, Malware of the Day. I'm going to be presenting, and then towards the end, Bill Stern's going to pop in with some awesome stuff. So we're going to look forward to that as well. And again, welcome. We are glad you're here with us. We are doing a majority of our conversation on our Discord server, which if you're not already on there, you can use the link shown on the slide to arrive there. And we are chatting questions and general conversation in the live webcast chat channel. And when you are in our Discord channel, you'll notice it has a red dot right next to it. So it should help you find that. And it does say these slides are in the ACM webcast content channel, but they are actually not yet, since I did not put them in there. But I will throw them in there towards the end of the webcast. And a thank you to Shelby for setting this up, and then also for Ryan, Bill, Hannah, Chris, and Casey for being here and being awesome, because this is a great team, and it really does take all of us together to make these things happen. So thank you all for being here. So malware of the day. Malware of the day, the idea was from John Strand. He had the idea to do this for all. I originally created it, I guess you could say executed. And the whole series was definitely elevated by Hannah. Hannah has done a lot for this project, and it's appreciated. And if you don't know, who are these people? John Strand is the owner and CEO of Black Hills Information Security and the family of companies, which includes Active Countermeasures, Wild West Hacking Fest, and Antisyphon Training. And one of the beautiful things about John and our companies is his focus and mission is upon spreading information, sharing information with the security community, and basically just the fight against good versus evil. And it's really, like I said, it's just a beautiful thing about this company is we're not driven by profits and, you know, we all want to become millionaires. It's really about sharing for the greater good. If we have the information, we want to share it with the security community to help with the battle against the bad guys. So that's essentially what our main mission here is. And myself, my official title is DevOps engineer. However, that's not really descriptive of what I actually do. And it makes me think of a while back, I heard someone say is that's probably the most scariest question they ever get is, so what do you do? And that definitely applies to me too. Probably like a lot of you, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically I am a network communications analyst. So I'm looking at network traffic communications, what's good, what's bad, analyzing these. I'm also a network threat hunter. I do work with Black Hills Information Security with their HTOC service, which is a Hunt Team Operations Center. And what that is it's 24/7 monitoring of networks looking for threats. I also am a web developer. I'm the primary, I guess you would say, admin or developer for our company websites, as well as many other people. Like I said, we all do things as a team. And basically all the things, from sweeping the floor to cleaning out the fridge and just about everything else. And Hannah, who you saw earlier, who's also on this webcast, is an intern for both Black Hills and Active Countermeasures. She kind of parallels a lot of the work I do. She's a network communications analyst. She's done a lot of great work testing different C2 platforms. And lately, she's becoming more involved in penetration testing, which can be a lot of fun. And I just want to pass a special thanks to Hannah for her work for Malware of the Day. She's really taken this into another direction and has definitely elevated the whole project. So thank you, Hannah. So what is Malware of the Day? First, the title itself can be a bit confusing, and I've heard those kind of comments. Because it's called Malware of the Day, it's not every day. So it's not like soup of the day. So it's malware of the particular day that we're doing it. So that could be, every week, it could be, once a month. It just happens to be that day. So you can think of it kind of like a restaurant that doesn't serve soup every day, it just serves soup every once in a while. So that's kind of what we're doing is we'll take a random day, we'll pick a particular malware or a type of exploit, and we'll run that in our lab and put that out onto one of our blog posts. And everything we do are either malware or methods that have actually been seen in real life, that have been used to compromise networks. So why are we doing this? We are doing it to share this information with the public. So we're running these different malwares, exploits. We're capturing that traffic into PCAP files and sharing that out to the public. And the reason we're doing this is to identify different C2 communication methods. If there are some that are attending that don't know what C2 is C2 stands for command and control. You may also see that described as C&C. Command and control is basically if you have an internal host that's been compromised, that internal host will need to reach out and communicate back to the person that had compromised that system to either exfiltrate data out of the network or for two-way communication to ask for instructions or for what to do next. So that internal compromised host will normally reach out at certain intervals out to another external server somewhere out on the internet and communicate back to that external C2 server and ask for instructions and receive instructions. So that's our primary focus, is looking at those communication patterns as a compromised host communicating out to the internet to another system. And we're looking at the behavioral analysis of this type of traffic. And the reason that we want to both do this for ourselves and to share this information is it helps with making you a more efficient threat hunter. Is if you know what you're actually hunting and what you should be looking for, it makes it a little easier for those type of communications to stand out from those that either don't match those type of patterns or the type of traffic that may just be benign. And the primary reason we're doing this is to make these PCAPs and these communications available for testing your existing security tools detection abilities. And when we talk about detection, let's talk about smoke detectors for a minute, because I believe that this parallels a lot of what we both see, want, and need out of network security. And again, I said we're talking about detection. So even like with the smoke detector, it's not about prevention. So it's not about preventing a fire, because prevention can only take you so far. I cannot think offhand of a prevention method that is 100% efficient. So no matter how you may try to prevent something, there's always going to be that risk or that chance that that prevention is going to fail. So when that does happen and those preventions fail, there needs to be some type of detection ability to know that your protections have failed. And that's exactly what happens with a smoke detector. As much as you try to prevent a fire from happening, there's still a risk that it may happen. And that's what we're looking at as well with our security tools. Is we need good security tools that work for detection of a compromise after it has happened. And like a smoke detector has broad coverage. What I mean by that is it doesn't matter what catches on fire in the space, the smoke detector is going to detect that smoke. And that's where sometimes with security tools, we tend to isolate things to where, I guess a good example of that is endpoint security, which endpoint security is good. I'm not knocking endpoint security, but if just protecting your endpoints is not the whole job, because you have your endpoints protected with, an EDR, some type of agent, some type of system that's on your endpoints, but it doesn't end there. It's almost like if you think about like if a smoke detector worked the same way as endpoint security did, that every new object you would bring into your house, you would have to either in some way register that with the smoke detector in order for it to detect if that particular thing were to catch on fire. In that sense, it just doesn't have the broad coverage that we need to detect everything. If you're only protecting your endpoints, you're leaving a lot of blind spots. So in other words, if a criminal were to connect a device to your network, that criminal is not going to reach out to the IT department and request that the endpoint agent be installed on this device so you can catch them. It's not going to be covered by your endpoint security, as well as IoT devices. Things like thermostats, industrial controls, whatever it may be. Those end up being your blind spots because you don't have coverage. So that's why when we talk about detection, we're talking about detection on the entire network. So we want to look at all of the network traffic. We're not just looking at specific things. We want detection that works for all. And also, as with a smoke detector, it's tuned to not respond to false positives. And if you think about it, if you've ever seen, there's people that smoke cigarettes in their house and the smoke detector does not go off because it's been tuned to know that, hey, somebody smoking a cigarette in the house does not mean the house is on fire. And those are the same things we can do with our detection tools. Is we can look at certain things because we're looking at, say, we're looking for C2 traffic. So we're looking for command and control traffic. We're looking for beacons. We're looking for systems that have repetitive patterns that are reaching out and communicating to external resources. The same thing is what we're trying to do with our detection tools. Is we can also tune out those that look similar, but we know are false positives. And a good example of this is like network time protocol. In network time protocol, you have your internal host, say at an interval of say like every 60 seconds or so, they're going to reach out to a time server somewhere on the internet to synchronize their clocks and verify the time. That is a good example of a beacon. Every 60 seconds, it's going to communicate out to the internet. It's going to get a response back. It looks just like a beacon, but it's not an evil beacon. We actually know that this is benign because it's looking for the time. So we can use our detection tools to safe list out that type of traffic to where we only see what we're looking for, which are indicators of potential compromise. And some may say, but we spent almost $100,000 on network security tools, so we're good. Nothing to worry about. We threw a bunch of money at it, so we're fine. My father used to say is that a lot of problems in life can be solved by throwing money at it. And mostly that's true. But in this case, it really isn't when it comes to security tools. You can spend a lot of money on your tools, but if you're not active in the process of these tools, how they work, and to make sure that they're actually doing what is promised. And then, you know, that's all you're doing. You're just spending a lot of money. So how do you know that you can identify these threats on your network? Well, you can do pretty much one or two things. You can trust what the security vendors have told you with your security tools. I know I've seen some that say, hey, we stop all breaches. If you want to trust and believe in that, you know, that's your choice. Myself, I know that not to be true. Or you can verify that this is actually the case. And there are some things that we are forced to trust. And an example of that is automotive airbags. You just trust that when an accident were to happen, that the airbag's going to deploy and save your life. And it's been tested. It's been tested over and over and again, but it's not tested on your particular car, which is very similar to networks. There could be some tools that have been tested over and over. However, there could possibly be a different reaction within your particular environment. And in this case, testing is very destructive. Even if you wanted to, I mean, how are you going to test that your airbag is going to deploy when it should? You're not going to drive your car in a wall just to make sure it does. So it requires trust. I mean, you just have to place your trust that this device is going to work when you need it. The difference is most network security tools don't require that you have to trust what you've been told how they do. You can test them. And this is what we believe is very important, is to test your tools to see if you can detect these type of compromises and how it reacts. And it's non-destructive. And it does provide you the verification. And also, you're able to see how your network reacts to this. The way you have your alert set up, does everything fire as it should? And that's kind of the mission of what we're doing here, like with the malware of the day, and why we're sharing this information. So you can test your current tools and know if you do have blind spots. And if you do, then you know what you need to fix. And you can look for those specific tools that will help you plug those holes in your network. It also gives you a lot of peace of mind. Instead of just wondering, you know, hey, what if? Like one of the latest big ones, you know, what if we had a compromise similar to like the sunburst attack? You know, would we be okay? Would this affect us? Would we see it? By testing your tools, you'll know exactly what's going to happen. So for our malware of the day, for our PCAP files, at our blog, we have a whole series of malware of the day blog posts. And at the bottom of each one of these blog posts, you'll find a 1-hour PCAP file and a 24-hour PCAP file that will include not only the compromise that's being analyzed, but it's also going to be a mixture of, we take them in different lab environments, both myself and Hannah's and a few others. So there'll be a mixture of just some idle and normal Windows boxes. Some have some Apple machines mixed in. So it's just a mixture of lab environments. And these will all have either malware or a simulation of some form of exploit that has been used before in the past. And what I would suggest is what I'm calling now the Chris Brenton method, which I believe is brilliant for learning and also for how to detect something that you don't already kind of know what it is, but you know that it's something that could compromise your network. And that is to, when you go to one of these blog posts, don't read what we have put in the post. Just scroll to the bottom to where the PCAP files are, download those, test them or analyze however you want to do that. And then after that, you can return and read the analysis that we did and ask yourself, or did you see it? Did you identify it? Were your tools able to catch it? And again, if not, and then there's more work to do. If you did, at least you have verification that this particular exploit, at least you would not only be able to see it, but may also be alerted. And here are just, these are not all of the malware of the day, PCAP files, but here's just a sampling of some of the attributes of the beacons that we've captured. And these are all exploits or compromises that have actually happened. This is not, we have not manufactured these type of C2 channels. These have actually happened. So you can see there's a pretty broad range of not only beacon signal timing, but also different ranges of introduced jitter. And if you don't understand what jitter is jitter is a variance of the signal timing. So if you have, for example, you have a compromised host that's communicating back to its C2 server every 30 seconds, repetitively every 30 seconds, if that beacon signal was scripted to have an amount of jitter introduced into that signal, say, for example, if we look at Silent Trinity, it has a 10% jitter variance, that each time it communicates back out to that C2 server, it's going to vary the time off that 30 seconds by 10%, either forward or back. So it's going to add a little time, subtract a little time. And the reason they're doing that is to avoid the common tools that are looking for beaconing activity. A lot of the security tools out there that are analyzing and looking for beacons are looking for very rigid timing. They're looking for very solid signals. So they're looking for something like every 5 seconds or every 30 seconds. As soon as you introduced a little bit of jitter in that, you'll fall off the radar on something that's using that type of algorithm that's only looking for rigid timing. And that's exactly why the bad guys are doing this. They've also figured out, oh, hey, these tools are just looking for everything 30 seconds and they're going to flag off of that. So, hey, if I introduced a little bit of variance in that, I just bypass their tool, which is true, and it works. If you notice at the bottom, I have two of these highlighted, both Asprox and Comfu, which are two actual malwares that were used out in the wild. And we have our own suite of beacon detection tools, both in Rita and AC Hunter, which do use particular algorithms that don't only look for rigid timing of a beacon signal, but are also tuned to be able to identify these beacons even with jitter introduced. And I've highlighted the bottom because I just wanted to point out that if you notice that both Asprox and Comfu both have 30-second beacon signal and both have 20% of jitter introduced. And if you notice next to the name of these malwares, those are the scores that were actually generated by Rita and AC Hunter. And Asprox reached a 93.50% certainty of beacon, and Comfu got 90.20% certainty of beacon. But yet they both have the exact same timing and jitter. And the reason for that is both in the skew of the connections, which can be slightly different depending on how these are scripted. It can also slightly get skewed by network latency, but that's not the big factor here. But it can also be skewed by the amount of data that's being transferred between these connections. And that's why you do see a little variance there. But the reason I put these out in a table like this is I'd like anyone who is an administrator in an IT department of a network, of a corporate network, even a home network, is I would ask you is, can your tools identify all of these type of beacons. Would you know if any of these were in your network? And a good example is if you look at POSH C2, that's a 120-second beacon. So it's only going to fire off once every 2 minutes. And that works actually very well to get past a lot of beaconing detection tools because of the amount of time between the signal. There's quite a few that are looking at very small windows of time looking for beacons. So in other words, they're going to detect very well on a very fast repetitive beacon. But as soon as that timing starts to spread out and you get more of a delta between those connections, they start to fall off of, as far as their effectiveness of beacon detection. So I just kind of want to point that out. And if you were to run all of these through your network, you would be either very happy that you'll detect and be able to see all of these type of beacons, or you would know that there's still some work to do to fill those holes, which would be very wise, by the way, because none of us want any of this on our network. So let's just take a look at a particular malware, which is called Pity Tiger. Excuse me. And what we're doing here is we're using our open source tool, Rita. And Rita is specifically designed to look for beaconing activity. And it has the algorithms that can pull these out of the noise for you. And it's very good at detecting beacons that have jitter introduced as well as data jitter. So in other words, you can also vary the amount of data that's sent through each connection, which can also tend to trip up some detection tools. So Rita, for anyone who's not familiar with it, it is an open source tool, so which means free. So you can download it as soon as we're done here. And you can either use it as a standalone tool and just feed PCAPs into it and analyze those PCAPs, or Rita can ingest Zeek logs and become a permanent solution by analyzing your network traffic 24/7. And when we're using Zeek on the network, we're tapping the whole network. So we're looking at using a span port just on the interior side of your firewall. So that would be pre-NAT. So we're looking at all network traffic, regardless of the operating system, regardless of the type of device. Anything talking on the network is going to be seen by the network sensor and using Zeek. And Zeek is going to push its logs into Rita, and you can use that to, like I said, to monitor your network 24/7. And in this case, I just kind of wanted to show an example. This was part of one of our malware labs, which we were running 4 different types of malware at the time. And this was taken out of Zeek logs directly. And you can see that the Pity Tiger, which I have highlighted, Rita has given a score of 93.20%. Now on Rita, 100% perfect score is 1.00. So when you see that decimal 932, that's a 93.20% certainty that this is a beacon. And it will show you a lot of the data that, as far as like the destination IP, it shows you the connections, it shows you the average bytes. And if you notice here, it shows the interval range of 30. So that's showing you on a basic level that this is a repetitive beacon at 30 seconds. And we can tell that there is jitter because the top interval that it had seen is 28 seconds. So a majority of the connections were actually at 28 seconds. And this works very well for identifying beacons within your network. And these first 4 results were all different types of malware. And as you can see, they all scored above a 90%. Everything below here is normal benign traffic. I believe this 104 dot address is some Azure, I believe Microsoft checking out. But I've already been through all these, and this is just benign traffic that later on in your tool, this could be safe listed out to where you wouldn't even see this type of traffic. And now we're going to take a look at Pity Tiger with AC Hunter. And AC Hunter is our commercial threat hunting tool, which uses Rita as the analytics engine. So the same analytics that you see here in Rita, which is a command line tool, will also be displayed within AC Hunter. But as you can see, as a GUI, it's much easier to look at as a human. With charts and graphs, it makes it much easier to not only analyze the traffic, but at a glance to pull out exactly what you're looking at. And in this case, it's showing us the same as what we just saw in Rita, but it's showing an actual graph layout of the beacon signal. And even though it does not show on this screen, this here is at 30 seconds. So we have a 30-second beacon, and Pity Tiger has 20% of jitter. So we can see that the primary 30% signal is here. And then this is where that jitter is introduced, where it's varying the signal timing across down to about 27 seconds. And as you can see, whenever there's program jitter such as that, when they script in jitter, it doesn't quite randomize it because computer programming languages are actually fairly poor at actually randomizing. So a lot of times when you look at it graphically like this, you will tend to notice that basically a bell curve within the signal timing, which is what we can see here. It's not spread out that much, but we can still identify that as a fairly rigid beacon. And most importantly, what we're looking at here at the bottom is each one of these blue blocks is 1 hour of time. So we have here about a little over 22 hours of data. And it's showing the number of connections per hour. This to me as a threat hunter is one of my most valuable tools because at a glance, if you look at this and you can basically just draw a flat line across these bars, this is something that definitely needs to be investigated. Because what it's telling us is every hour we have around 140 connections happening between this source and this destination every hour. This is not human traffic. Human traffic, if you were to look at this same bar graph, it would be all over the place. You would not have a consistent connection count per hour. And the other thing that this shows us is that even a beacon signal that has jitter introduced, that when you look at it over a long period of time, even with jitter, it tends to normalize itself out. It doesn't actually skew the results as much as you would think it would when you look at it over time, over every hour. This is actually very, very consistent. So this is definitely something that stands out to be investigated. And it's also been flagged to be investigated at 93.20%. So then the question becomes is, yeah, we provide these PCAPs so you can bring these into your network, run them and see what happens. But what if you're just in a situation, depending on what type of security tools that you have in your environment, that you can't just inject PCAPs into your network to test these. If you are in that situation where you can't do that, luckily we have an answer for that too. We have that's been written by Bill Stearns. He has a threat simulator tool that will do a lot of this for you, whereas you can go back to either this table or the malware of the days and replicate the timing and jitter by using Bill's tool to do very similar to what we were just talking of. So Bill, if you'd like to kind of take it from here and talk about Threat Simulator, that would be great.
Glad to. Yep. The beacon simulator is just a very straightforward shell script. It's something you can read and review in just a couple of minutes. It's an easy way to simply create packets that are TCP or UDP with a certain timing, but also with an optional amount of jitter. So for example, on Keith's table, if you have one that's 120 seconds between individual beacons with no jitter at all, you put those onto the command line saying, I want 120-second beacon time and no jitter. You pick a server out on the internet that you're allowed to talk to with an open port, and you send the traffic off to that. So what you'll get are the network packets, TCP or UDP. Hopefully, you'll get those captured by the target system. You'll get them captured by your network analysis tools. They will make their way up to whatever threat hunting tool you happen to use in your environment. And then the question is, can I catch these? Can I see that they're there at all? Do I see them show up as beacons in my threat hunting tool? You can use this with whatever system you've got, whether you've got a commercial threat hunting tool or you're using an open source threat hunting tool, or you're analyzing firewall logs with a syslog analysis tool. Whatever you've got, can you see them? Do they show up in a way that you could identify them as beacons? Are they flagged that way? And the other question is, even if you see them somewhere in the list, are these going to be so far down on a list of 1,000 different types of traffic that you're not likely to see them at any practical level? So here we've got an example of just running this shell script. It connects out to 10.0.0.12 on port 3128. Those of you who've been working with proxies will recognize that as the SQUID port, the caching web proxy that's available for free with Linuxes. And what you'll see if you actually go back and take a look at your SQUID logs is there are going to be a whole bunch of very odd incoming requests. SQUID will get confused, but it will basically ignore them. What we put in is a 60-second interval and a jitter of 10, meaning that we will have 60 seconds as the starting amount of time between beacons, but we're going to pick a random time between 55 seconds and 65 seconds. So plus or minus 10/2 seconds between each one. It's going to be TCP because this is TCP port 3128. And finally, you have the option, you don't have to use it, but you have the option of saying, I don't want any payload that's larger than 1,000 bytes. And then this tool will automatically pick a random payload size that's no bigger than 1,000 bytes. If you leave that number off, it'll pick, I believe, 1,420 bytes as the maximum size. So it'll all fit in one packet. And then as you run this, it makes connections every 55 to 65 seconds, and it'll show you a dot every time it makes a new connection out. So the point of this is not that this is some massive, impressive tool. It's a very straightforward shell script whose only job is making outbound connections with a goal of saying, do we catch this as a beacon? Does it make it up into our threat hunting software? Do we recognize that this needs at least a basic investigation? And then once we've done that, do we respond appropriately? Keith, next slide. Now, we talk a lot about beacons in this webcast, but keep in mind that the other type of connection that's very common for an infected system out to a command and control server is a long connection. Instead of opening up a connection every 60 seconds saying, "Hey, have any work for me?" Why not just open a connection out to some remote server and leave it open for hours or days or weeks? Do my threat hunting tools catch that? The nice part is this is even simpler to do. You just open up an SSH connection to some host out on the internet, and you tell it, when you start up, I'd like you to sleep for some random number of seconds. And what I've done here is I've said, hey, we're just going to sleep for basically 24 hours. So that connection will stay open for exactly 24 hours, and then it will close down. Does your threat hunting tool catch that? No special tools needed. This is nothing more than just holding a connection open for a long time. Keith, next slide. And do you want to switch back, Keith? Or do you want me to cover these briefly?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we can both jump in on this. So, yeah.
Cool.
I know that actually I have on this slide listed Wireshark, but I actually did not include anything from Wireshark. But I would assume everybody's heard of Wireshark. I mean, I've been using it a long time as well as many other people. But I initially was going to just show an example in Wireshark, but that didn't happen. But definitely with Rita, I know I talked about Rita. Like I said, that's our open source tool. It's free. I would say grab it, play around with it. See, you can pull the PCAPs directly into Rita, analyze those within Rita. Like I said, what works even better is set it up on a network sensor, and you'll be able to analyze a rolling data set, 24/7. You'll be able to see how it works directly like that. And then AC Hunter, I know we went over that as well. That's our commercial tool, which, as I said, it uses Rita as the analytics engine. However, AC Hunter does have the graphical user interface, which makes it much easier to identify threats, as well as many other features. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see those features, but primarily AC Hunter, you can safe list communications directly in the UI to get them out of the report. It helps your threat hunting activities, as well as we do have features that you will not find in Rita, like our new cyber deception module. And as Bill was just talking about, there's also a module for long connections. And the threat simulator is what Bill just went through, which is another awesome tool. Like I said, it's simple, but a lot of times simplicity is good because it works well. So, and that's a lot of what we're here for is testing your tools. Not saying any that, this is better than the other. It's just that, if you test them, where you are. Am I going to see this when and if this happens to me? Can I react? Or is it going to be like the unfortunate average of time from compromise to detection of the compromise, which I believe is still running around 6 months of time, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. From the time a corporate network gets compromised to when they actually know it's happening, 6 months is a lot of time. I don't know about you guys, but I can do a lot in 6 hours, never mind 6 months. So
absolutely.
Yep. So, a lot of these things will help, not only reduce that time of discovery, but allow you to actually discover it. Otherwise this thing's happening, you don't know. I mean, if you have, like we were talking about endpoint security, if that's your only solution, quite frankly, you're kind of in trouble, because there's a lot of other things that are connected to your network that are not running Windows.
I would want to bring up one last thing about the PCAPs that we send out with these blog posts. Absolutely pull them into your threat hunting system, see if you can identify the traffic. But I want you to pay attention to one thing. The systems in that PCAP are all very similar operating systems. There's not a whole lot going on in the background. You have a particular type of traffic that looks like a beacon, and we hope you capture that. But remember that there's not a lot of background noise. There's some, but there's not a lot.
Mhm.
So if you go through this entire process and you say, hey, I checked like 8 of these, I can see them immediately in my threat hunting solution. Think just briefly, if these had shown up in a 24-hour flood of packets that's going in and out of your live production network with lots of different operating systems, lots of people doing different things, different servers, different clients, background traffic, downloads, all the types of things that happen on a production network. Is there any chance that this particular threat traffic would get hidden in the noise?
Mhm.
Just think about that as one last thing. And this is one of the ways that running that threat simulator on a production network, that will let you see, can I see this inside all of the other noise that happens on a production lane?
And that's an excellent point, Bill, because you're absolutely right how things can just get buried. Especially as a threat hunter, you start cycling through connection after connection after connection. If you don't have a tool that helps helps elevate that particular connection to the top, and then you're right, it's very easy to just see all of them run together as they're all either okay or they're all bad.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a lot of the power of the tools such as like Rita and AC Hunter is they help elevate those type of connections that you really need to be looking at to the top to where you can see them.
Perfect. What else do we have to cover, Keith, today?
That was all I had as far as the presentation. If anyone has any comments, questions, I would like to just point out that JD50 made a comment that I absolutely love is if you did not test, it does not work.
Yes.
And that's kind of my point here.
I'm glad to give you tons of stories from personal experience. Chris, do you have any questions you wanted to cover from attendees?
No, I don't have any questions. So I did see one. Does Reader and Zeek integrate into Microsoft Sentinel? No. No, they do not. Collecting network traffic off of Microsoft is way, way harder than it needs to be, especially when you look at some of the tools they released as alpha code and then pulled back off the shelves. So yeah, that one's a tough one. How do you verify a PCAP file is valid and not corrupt? There's a tool called Cap Infos that ships with Wireshark, T-Shark. That is probably your best bet. That'll go through and give you a bunch of things. It'll tell you how long does that PCAP run for? When did it start? When did it end? How big is it? What was the throughput rate of packets at the time it was captured? It'll give you a lot of good info, including the hashes generated off of that file. It has like 3 different hash algorithms it'll generate. So that would be my first choice to go through and validate a PCAP.
Yeah.
Lisa, were you asking about?
We do post the hash of the file on the post itself too. So
yeah, Lisa, were you asking to spell the Cap Infos tool? Literally be CAPINFOS, I believe. Yep. There we go. Good deal. What do you recommend for home network? The concepts that you use on a home network are the same that you use on a production network. I've got a webcast that we did with John Strand about a year and a half ago, I believe. It's up on YouTube. If you go to Active Countermeasures YouTube channel and search for Home Lab, there's I think a 1-hour webcast where we talk about the concepts, what tools you can use, what kind of hardware you might consider buying. Can you do this with simple throwaway, hardware you wouldn't use for any other purpose? Yes. How do
And
you
it's
go
just great practice. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the processes and techniques you use at home can be directly applied to your commercial side. And yeah, as Bill's saying, you can use, you know, cheap hardware that, oh, this won't run Windows anymore. Well, you know what? It'll probably run Linux and it'll probably run a packet sniffer. So you'll be in pretty good shape there. But it's also a safe environment to test. You know, if you go in and say, hey, what if I grabbed all the traffic trying to go to the internet with better cap? Could that make things go sideways? Well, if you do it on your home network, what's the worst that happens? You know, you tick off the people you live with. If you do it at your corporate network, oh, that could be your job. So yeah, practice at home. And like Bill said, that was an awesome webinar that they did.
It's got to be a safe environment. And that's exactly, Chris, you got it exactly right. If you screw up, well, then your house is, maybe your kids can't watch YouTube for an hour while you appeal to your ISP. But yes, you could be banned by your ISP. That's fair, but they'll understand. We talk about how to isolate that traffic in a segment that shouldn't be sending traffic out to the internet. So go ahead and take a look at that webcast and do it in a safe way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd like to kind of expand on Chris's point, which is a great one. If you are doing this on a production network, running any of these PCAPs or what have you, please make sure you have permission to do so. And the other people on your team are aware you're doing this. And I'd also like to mention, if it wasn't clear, none of these PCAPs were the traffic captured were actual malware. These were, all of this traffic was generated by scripted replications of malware. So there's no danger of any type of malware, you know, cross-pollination or whatever you want to call it. But this is all very safe stuff. It's just the communications and the behavior of those communications.
Well, and to go back to the other comment about, you know, being worried about being shut off by your ISP, what we're talking about are techniques to monitor the network to see if there's anything suspicious there. You're not generating malicious looking traffic. Now, if you run something like Threat Simulator, it's basically like, you know, imagine you've got a control of a website out on the internet. You're going to have Threat Simulator connect to it like, you know, once a minute, once every 5 minutes, and see if you can detect that internally. There's nothing in there for your ISP to look at and say, whoa, I think, you know, Bob or Mary is, you know, doing something wrong. No, there's nothing in there to say that. In fact, that's one of the things that, you know, because I'll be honest, Cobalt Strike has a lot more functionality than Beacon Simulator, but I like Beacon Simulator better because nobody's going to turn it evil. It's not designed to actually exfiltrate data. Cobalt Strike, yeah, you can use that to test your environment, but you know what? Even the Russians are using it against you. So here's a tool that was supposed to be blue team and is very heavy red team by the actual bad guys. I like Beacon Simulator. It's not going to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree, because like with Bill's tool, with the, you know, the Threat Simulator, Beacon Simulator, you're also not going to trigger any signatures, you know, any specific rules you have set up, because the original start of the Malware of the Day PCAPs were, I did use Cobalt Strike to create those simulations. So there could be elements in there that actually could be triggered by a signature detection. Whereas Bill's tool, like you said, Chris, you don't have to worry about any of that. So.
Yeah, and I have seen people kind of push back about, well, but you know, you're not including the signature, so you know that's not fair. Yeah, it is, because you know what, that signature you're looking for, they're probably not generating that anymore anyway. If you can't catch the behavior characteristics, you can't expect to catch the new stuff coming out. You can't count on they're going to use the same signature that's been around for 2-3 years. That just doesn't happen anymore.
Yep.
And I find my attackers are rarely emailing me their signatures before they attack anyways. So
let alone turning on the evil bit. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me do a couple of quick questions off of the Q&A, if that's all right.
Oh yeah.
Beacons are small wireless transmitters that use low energy Bluetooth technology to send signals to other smart devices nearby. Are we talking about this? I think since this question was asked, you probably figured out that we're using a second form of the term beacons. And these are network communications that happen at regular intervals between an affected machine and a command and control server. Sorry about the double use of that term. It happens all the time. Second one is Rita multi-threaded, i.e. can it run on a sensor and could you ingest a PCAP file without losing sensor traffic? Rita doesn't actually do the capture. It depends on Zeek to do that. And so your question really turns into, could I run Zeek listening on a network interface? Could I have Zeek importing a PCAP file? And could I send both of those outputs over to Rita to import? The answer is yes. Rita doesn't actually do the capture itself. Is AC Hunter also an antivirus tool? No, it isn't. It's not designed to do that. It's only designed to look for communication to a command and control server. And secondly, do AC Hunter install agents have to be installed on Windows machine? No, because like Rita, it's depending on Zeek to do the packet capture. All that AC Hunter and Rita do is they look for these network communication patterns. They're not actually logging into a system or running an agent on the system. They're looking at the traffic for all devices on your network, not just the ones for which you might own an agent. We're looking for traffic from everywhere. The routers, Internet of Things devices, printers, network cameras, Windows machines, Linux machines, Macs, and all the other things that have an IP address. Your refrigerator probably checks in once or twice a day. So no, there's no agent involved.
Well, so sort of. So everything Bill just described is true. But you run into the use case of, well, hey, I've got a home user. We have split tunneling enabled, which means they're sending traffic directly to the internet. They're not sending everything down to the VM. How do we monitor for this type of thing on that endpoint that I quite honestly can't put a Zeek sensor in front of? And the answer for that is ESPI, which is one of our open source projects. And that just uses Sysmon to collect that same type of data that Bill was talking about. But it does actually run as an agent because you kind of needed to in that situation. So basically what it comes down to is if you can put in a Zeek sensor, do that. That should be the first thing. But if you've got hosts you can't put a Zeek sensor in front of, you could run ESPI. That is agent-based. It only has support on the Windows side right now, but it is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris was kind enough to put a link to that tool into the live webcast chat. And while we talk about using this in conjunction with AC Hunter as an input, ESPI is actually open source. You can use this without AC Hunter if you choose.
Yeah, and I could see maybe where there was a little confusion. Myself, I was mentioning security on the endpoint in the context that I don't believe that's the complete network security solution. That covers, all your workstations. I mean, it does great for what it does. It's just, you're not going to see everything that's communicating on your network, just like Bill had described. And I think it's Chris Brenton that says a lot is when you're looking at all the network traffic, it's the great equalizer, which is absolutely true. You see everything that's making communications. It doesn't matter if it's in Windows box or, like they were just, like Bill was just saying, it could be a fridge, it could be an IP camera, it could be, you're seeing everything communicating. Like if you set up Reader or AC Hunter with a Zeek sensor and you're pulling it off the span port, you're seeing everything. Nothing needs agents, nothing needs anything installed on it. If it's talking, you're seeing it.
Fantastic. Hey, before we finish up, I really do want to give a quick shout out to Hannah. Hannah works behind the scenes on a lot of these blog posts and has done an excellent job of doing a lot of the work behind. So I think I can speak for Keith in saying that we really owe her a great deal of thanks for a lot of it. Thank you, Hannah, for everything that you've put into this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. So not
Anything
only
else?
brilliant, but brought a lot of different, different ways to look at things, which is always good. Always good.
Absolutely right. Great. Want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we're good here. Unless we have any other questions or, I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation and hopefully you can pass all the tests. If you can't, then you have work to do. If you're interested in AC Hunter, you can check it out on our website. You can contact any of us directly. We can help you out with that. Or if you just kind of want to see how it's going to analyze your network and get started for free, download Rita.
Fantastic. And feel free to join once you're over on the Threat Hunter community Discord. We can keep the conversation going there. If you'd like to see a demo of AC Hunter, please put demo into the live webcast chat or the GoToMeeting chat. We'll get in touch with you either way. But we'd love to have some more conversation and more questions over in the Threat Hunter community Discord. Keith will also, we think we'll put up the slide deck in just a little bit over in the pound ACM-webcast-content channel in a few minutes.
Yep, I will.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, folks.
Hey, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
And with
Cheers.
that, we will end the webinar. See you next time,
Bye.
guys.